Welcome to your restorative practice. Happy to be here. Looking forward to this today. Hope you are too. As usual, when we come into a restorative practice, a reminder that the approach is much less goal-oriented and more encouraging of settling and stillness, and there's not really anywhere to get within a pose. So it's all about adding props and adding comfort and exploring what props you might need in your body. With that said, I always recommend a pillow, cushion, or bolster, or a couple, a blanket or two. If you do have yoga blocks at home, you can certainly incorporate those here, but that's not required. So it's just kind of like getting creative with what you have at your disposal. You can do this in bed, you can do it on the floor. So just gathering what props you have around you, setting those off to the side. If you're going to use blankets and cushions, just anywhere within hand's reach off to the side. And we're going to come down onto our backs to get started. And just take a few moments here. You can either walk your feet wide on your mat and let your knees knock in towards one another, especially if your low back bothers you on the surface of the floor. You can also stretch your legs out. Find a comfortable position to rest your arms. I like to, in the first few moments of practice, let my eyes close and take my hands somewhere on my body. Like right now, my hands are on my belly. I'm just encouraging the breath to move a little bit deeper. It's really easy in our daily lives when we're really task oriented or focused on something, maybe sitting at a desk working, for the breath to be really short and shallow and just kind of concentrated in the throat and in the upper part of the chest. So we can use these next 30 minutes together to encourage the breath to get a little bit deeper and a little bit slower. And can you do that in a way that's gentle and without adding extra tension or anxiety in the body? So again, the idea of settling and letting go of any sort of goal or particular outcome. Take about 3 more breaths here. And then if your legs are stretched out, we'll start to bend our knees and plant our feet. Reach off to the side wherever your props are, and then pressing down into the feet, lift the hips up and slide one of your props underneath that space in between the low back and the back of the pelvis. So it's a little bit lower than the low back. It's like right where the low back ends and the sacrum begins. So there's a very nice solid place for my pelvis to be elevated on. Relax your shoulders here. You might even slightly tilt the chin in towards the chest just to encourage the back of the neck to be nice and long. Soften in through the throat. A couple of breaths here to allow the pelvis to settle. Certainly you can stay in this shape as you are. It's very restorative for the pelvis to be above the heart, and its classification is an inversion, which is really good for blood flow and circulation. But if you want to enhance that at all, and if it's comfortable for you, you can pick the feet up off the ground and maybe extend the feet up towards the ceiling. You might need to adjust that prop underneath the sacrum a little bit until you can find a comfortable place to just let your feet, your legs float in space. You don't have to get your legs straight. Again, you're not looking for any particular shape. You're looking for comfort and the ability to let the body relax. So if the feet up in the air, the legs in space doesn't do it for you, just let the feet come back to the mat. Maybe you return to having the eyes closed if you opened them again, encouraging the mind to move deeper into the body. You can notice how you feel in your physical body. How do the shoulders feel? You get a little bit heavier in the shoulders. How does the chest feel? Space around the heart. The rib cage, and in particular the back of the rib cage that's in contact with your mat or whatever you're lying on. How does that feel? And the low back. That slight upward arch, and then the subsequent support of the prop underneath the sacrum. How does the sacrum feel resting there? Noticing any sensation in the hips, in the knees, in the ankles, and the feet. If your feet are floating up in space, you can start to rebend the knees and let the feet come back to the mat. Let's take a few moments there to let the limbs settle once more. Sometimes there's like a readjustment in the spine, in particular the pelvis and the sacrum area, that happens as a result of this gentle inversion. And that usually happens when your body is relaxed and everything's very passive and the muscles can soften. If you still have that support underneath your pelvis, press down through your feet, move the prop out of the way. And then once more, let the pelvis settle into whatever you're lying on. Now everything's in one plane. The whole spine is in the same plane. And just pause there. If you want to give your hips a little rinse, you can sway the knees side to side. And the knees back through center if you're moving them at all. Stretch that right arm alongside the head. Roll onto the right hip and shoulder. Just take a moment, pause in fetal position. Left hand might be in front of the chest like a little kickstand. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Little gentle pressure into that left hand to make your way up to this kind of a side seat. You're on your right hip still. And then we'll take that pillow or cushion, whatever you're using for your prop today, and slide it kind of like in line in front of the hip. So it'll be, you're going to lay down on this, it'll be underneath the side of the waist and a little bit of the rib cage. And then you might take a blanket, a folded blanket, or another pillow towards the top of the mat for the side of the head and the neck. And we're just going to lay on down to our side here. And then, so what we're looking for with the support underneath the right side of the head is the neck to be relaxed, side of the head to be supported, so there's not a lot of like a stretch sensation. So I like to adjust my blanket until it's kind of underneath the crease of my neck. And this right arm, let it be comfortable. So for me, that's just kind of stretching it out in front of me. There's a lot of different things you can do with your left hand. You can rest it in front of your chest, just like in fetal position. You can let it rest on the hip. If you want a little bit more of a side body opening, you can stretch that left arm overhead and let the fingertips rest on the floor above the head. Or if you have a prop there, like an extra pillow, you could rest the hand on a prop. That gets a little crunchy in my shoulders. So again, just keeping in mind that comfort here is the goal. Settling, relaxing the muscles. That's our goal today. I'm just going to leave my left hand in front of my chest. Maybe you close your eyes back down. Return to the breath. Anything you want with the legs. No real particular instruction for the legs. Just again, looking for that sense of support and comfort and ease in the body. And return to the breath. Maybe close down the eyes again if you opened them. It's always okay to make any adjustments along the way if you feel like you get into a shape and you need an extra prop or you need to adjust a prop. You never have to get somewhere and then, feel like you're stuck. So just constantly giving yourself permission to check in and make adjustments. I have about 1 more minute here. So if you've done anything different with your left hand, bring it back in front of your body, a little pressure there to take a brief seat again, this little side seat. We're not going to switch to the second side just yet, so stay on your right hip with me. We're just going to turn the cushion, the bolster, whatever you're using, into this more of it's perpendicular with my hips now. Or you could think about it as running the length of your mat. And I let my bolster rest on top of that blanket that's still there because it creates a little bit of an incline. So the cushion's closer to my chest and my head. Now I'm turning and I'm framing out the cushion with my hands. This is going to provide a little bit more of a twist sensation in the low back and the hips most likely. So again, if it's too much, you might want to add props. You might want to add a second pillow or more cushions or more blankets. When you feel like you got the right amount of support underneath you, you can walk down onto the forearms and elbows, relax that right cheek down onto your cushion. Take a few moments to settle in here and notice if you need to make any changes. I always check in with my neck, my shoulders, my jaw, especially when I'm twisting. So for me, I want to be a little bit more flat so that my neck is a little bit more lengthened. So just check in with your body. What do you need? What kind of support? More or less, or just right? We'll spend a couple of minutes here. If you really want to deepen your twist, if the body is calling for more, you can turn the left cheek down. You'd be looking away from your knees. If you've gone into that variation of the twist with your left cheek down, really slowly unwind the neck, set your right cheek back to your prop. Let's take 2 deep breaths wherever you are. And then we'll slide the hands underneath the shoulders, press yourself up and off of your cushion. We're going to do one more thing in more of a neutral position and then head to the second side. So this cushion, it stays relatively the same. I'm just scooting mine up a little bit to make space so that I can turn and sit evenly on my hips. I'm going to take my blanket, rest it on top of my feet, tuck it underneath the outer edges of the feet so there's padding towards my outer ankles. And then I'm going to lower myself back down onto my cushion. You can always take extra props if you have them lying around underneath the outer edges of the knees here, because that can be a lot on the hips. So always supporting the body, especially in our restorative practice. Looking to soften the muscle tissue, not grip. We're just going to spend about a minute here in transition. Let's take about 3 more breaths in this shape. And we'll start to press into the elbows and the hands to make our way back up to a seat. We're going to transition to the left hip. So I'm going to continue to face you. You could just roll onto your left hip and face away, but you know where you're going now. We're going to start off by taking this cushion. So it's next to the hip, and then we have all the space above that cushion for our left arm and shoulder. A little bit of the rib cage to relax. You might take that blanket again, set it at the top of the mat, wherever your head's going to be resting, and then lie down onto your left side. And then kind of play with this here, this whatever you're using underneath the left side of the head. Adjust as needed. Find the right level of support for your neck and your right shoulder. Adjust the legs as is comfortable to you. And then choosing something with your right hand, maybe just gently resting in front of the body alongside the right hip. Or if you want, you can stretch the right arm overhead, resting it on a prop, that hand on a prop if you like. Maybe closing the eyes. Soften in here. So just do your best to kind of scan the body and notice if there's any habitual places where the muscles tend to grip and hold tension. And maybe with your breath, maybe it's an exhale, you can encourage a little bit of softening or release. Maybe on the inhale, you encourage more expansion. Let's take about 3 more breaths here. Your right hand, if it's moved away from the front of the chest, bring it back and press down there into the right hand. Lift up through the upper body. We'll just rotate our props, right? So we're going to create this longer cushion. Maybe you want that more of a lift, a ramp-like incline for the torso. We're going to stay on our left hip and frame out the cushions, and then lower onto our belly and our chest, forearms and elbows. Left cheek is going to rest first. And then always just feel free to kind of see what you need here on this side. It might be different. It might be different than what you need on the first side. If you do want to take that twist a little bit deeper, deeper doesn't mean right or better, but if it's appropriate for your body and the spine allows it, you could take your right cheek down to the cushion. If you had your right cheek down, rotate so the left cheek's back on your cushion. Take about 3 breaths here in this more neutral position for the neck. And bringing the palms underneath the shoulders, press your way off of your cushions. We're going to head into Shavasana now for our next and last neutral shape. So if you like, you could take cushions underneath the backs of the knees. You could take a blanket underneath the back of the head. Or you could take a blanket to the belly. A little extra weight on the belly. You could do both. You don't have to do one or the other if you have extra blankets. A little extra weight on the belly. Belly is a trigger point for the parasympathetic nervous system, and placing some weight there can generally be very soothing and restful. Find a comfortable position for your hands. Relax the shoulders down the back. Slightly tilt the chin in towards the chest. Deep breath in through the nose. And open your mouth, exhale. Sigh it out. Let it go, let it rest. Shavasana. Please feel free to stay in Shavasana for as long as you like. If you need to go about your day, you might begin adding gentle movement to fingertips and toes. Maybe stretch the arms overhead and breathe into the length of the body. When you're ready, rolling off to a side, pressing to an upright seat. We'll just take, if you have the time to stick with me, 3 rounds of Brahmari breath, which is that inhale through the nose and the exhale is the hum. So there's a little bit of sound at the back of the throat. We'll do 3 rounds of that. Sit up nice and tall, relax your hands in your lap, relax your shoulders down your back, neutral breath in, neutral breath out. And we'll inhale to begin Brahmari. Let go of Brahmari breath, return to neutral inhale and exhale through the nose. If you'd like, you can join me in closing by bringing the hands together at the heart, bowing the chin into the chest, taking a moment to honor our effort and our practice with reverence and gratitude. May you remember that you will always be okay. Find a light that guides you and keeps you safe. Have hope, help, and happiness along the way. Namaste, yogis. Thank you all so much for being here. Last practice of 2022. So I'll see you next year. Bye.